yeah, I'm super happy to be back.
Beautiful. I am too, Thomas. Thank you for the opportunity to be of service with you and for everybody who's showing up. We're really honored to be able to be of service and share our love of Kundalini Yoga with all of you. And like Thomas said, our the meeting of our minds and auric fields and physical bodies in this practice came together very organically, and basically we just resonate as mirrors for one another, who love the practice, who practice and continue to reap benefits and inquiry and challenges and all of the things, and continue to hold the same level of intensity and enthusiasm for the practice itself. So just really excited to be able to continue to do the work of sharing and continue to see how it lands with everybody else, because that's really what it is. We can share from our experience, but you as the practitioner, this is your time to have your experience and see what the grace of Kundalini Yoga will bring to your life.
Yes, yes. I'm super happy to be sharing it with you and to meet some new people along the way and just to build the community and to be in each other's energy. You know, when we're practicing together, it's a group energy and you can really feel that. And I think that that's part of the magic. Also, of course, what happens on a more individualistic space. So, before we begin talking about, what is Kundalini Yoga, I think it's important to go over a couple things on what to expect. You'll see in the course section, there's sections of resources, and I'm sure you've already noticed some of that, like the Start Here section. Hopefully, you already checked that out. And then now here we're at week one. But some things to expect throughout the coming weeks is we're going to be giving you a 40-day practice. So something that you can do every single day. We call this sadhana, which is a daily spiritual practice. Um, it's going to be, there'll be a video of instructions. We're going to do the exercise that we're going to give to you at the end of the practice today. And through those 40 days of self inquiry and also checking in with the group, you're going to possibly maybe notice some shifts within yourself or maybe even some resistance. We always like to say, like, it's a privilege to be able to get up and do your sadhana. It's not like it's a burden or, oh, I have to do this for my group that I'm in right now. It's something that you get to do, and it's a beautiful opportunity to deepen your awareness to yourself. This beautiful technology, we call Kundalini Yoga a technology because, unlike other somatic systems and things like that, it's a science and it has perfect foreground and instructions. And you will see that throughout the weeks of how divine and how, I don't want to say it's perfect. I do want to say it's perfect, but how intricate and efficient it is, and it works, and that's why people keep coming back, and you see the radiant glow that they possibly have. I mean, I hope Catherine and I are sharing that. But so things to expect is you'll have that 40-day practice, and you can always check in and reach out or chat with the group, sharing your experience or any questions you have. Other things to expect, I'd say, is sometimes your physical body might go through changes. You might have different, you might feel sore or you might feel lighter. Sensations can come up. You might feel nothing at all, and that still means that it doesn't mean that it's not working, right? It just is that you're just doing it. But also, I think you'll have change of hopefully maybe perception. But we always say not to expect anything, just to experience it, right? Catherine, I don't know if you have anything else to add about what to possibly expect throughout the week. I mean, I guess there's really no expectations, really, but just to show up, really more expect yourself to show up for yourself.
And coming to the practice with beginner's mind, we do
Yeah.
have a couple little pieces of advice, a little bit of consejo, to show up with the beginner's mind and also show up a couple minutes early if you can. If you are coming home from work, we understand the transition. But if you have the time and you can make the time to show up and just kind of, instead of rolling in on two wheels, come in, get yourself set up, get grounded. If it's possible, refrain from eating for about 2 hours before the practice. You don't want to practice on a full belly. And also set yourself up for success. You can bring a pillow or an extra roll or a bolster if you need to prop yourself up from the sits bones and just allowing, the real carriage of what we call the sushumna or the danda or the spinal column to be erect and comfortable. For some folks, sitting for long periods of time isn't comfortable. So you can do all of these exercises, especially today's Kriya, from a chair. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
about comfort. So your comfort is in
As
your
long as the feet
physical
are
body,
flat.
just not having eaten too close to the practice, super, not really being full, and just giving yourself the time, space, and support that you need to be comfortable in the exploration. And then, like Thomas said, just showing up absolutely without expectation, beginner's mind, and being open to the experience.
Yeah. One thing that we're trying to do differently this round, not that it matters if you've not practiced with us for this course before, I think that this course is completely different than what we did before. We're going to try to offer more physical practice because really in Kundalini Yoga, you can talk about it and try to learn about it and read about it and read books and watch videos and take and spend thousands of dollars in time and retreats and all these things of what Kundalini is. But really practicing it is what it is, and you have the experience of you. That's the magic. That's what the gift of the practice is it's an experience of yourself in your truest essence or form. So like Catherine said, just show up with reverence, come a little early, set yourself up for success. If you can't sit on a flat surface because it hurts your back, sit on a chair with your feet flat on the ground. um, and that's where the magic really lies, is doing it. So the difference between this course and something we've did, or you'll see other places for a beginner's course of what Kundalini is, we're going to just give you a practice and leave the opportunity for self-inquiry plus the knowledge of what we share come through. Everything that we share came from our teachers and our teachers' teachers, and it's been a spoken lineage of information, but a lot of that information came from sound, and we have an entire class on mantra and sound, and that's where the knowledge came from. So people are always like, what does that mantra you guys are chanting mean? And it's like, well, if you ask Guru Nanak, like thousands of years ago, like what it meant, I mean, I don't, there's no words, it's indescribable. So that's where the magic happens. You're chanting the sound or listening to the sound and vibrating the cells and the glandular system and the organs, and that's where the information and the knowledge, the infinite creative potential of what Kundalini is, starts to make sense within the self, and then you have the understanding, and it's not something that we're just reading and writing and taking notes about. So that's where the somatics, I think, come in. So anything else before we kind of dive into what is Kundalini?
That feels good. That feels right.
Okay, so let me just see here. You cannot notice. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, you can still see me, correct? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we can talk about now what is this word Kundalini and why would we want to know or be a part of something that's Kundalini Yoga? So interesting enough, right now it's a marketing trend, Kundalini. If you look up Kundalini, you see people like having these crazy emotional releases and flopping around on the floor and all these things. Or you might have heard of Kundalini. I guess you would have heard it in like maybe like some spiritual. I guess it's mostly a spiritual term, I guess you could say in modern terms. But I didn't know what Kundalini Yoga was. I just knew that I saw people wearing white with things on their heads, yelling, going into a yoga studio and then starting to yell after 5 minutes of being back there, and I didn't know what was going on. But they had a glow, and I was like, I think I want to know what this is. It looked culty, but I was like, okay, I may be into it. But essentially Kundalini is your infinite creative potential. It's your infinite awareness, your infinite ability to expand and to liberate. It's before we get into the lore and the mythology behind it, or the story behind it and how it's found in the Vedas and the Upanishads and things like that. It's really this essence of yourself that's lying dormant, but it's constantly rising and falling. And I think that's very um, important to note. It's not something that we're trying to awaken. You'll hear the term Kundalini awakening when you hear the word Kundalini, and that's where the new age kind of nuances is kind of taking over the the main. I guess you could say the that's where it's becoming trendy, right, Catherine? I think you could possibly agree.
Yeah, absolutely. May I say a couple things about
Yes, I'm actually doing something on the back end while you're talking because I just saw something pop up on the screen. So I'm just so you could actually take over. Yes.
Okay, cool. So, just feeling into, from my experience, what is Kundalini Yoga? So, I can articulate it in this moment as an art and a science, like Thomas said, really succinct ways. We have been gifted with transmissions from our teachers and our teachers' teachers. So the essence of their cities, the benefits that they've gained through their practice and their knowledge comes through to us through the sound current. Also, it comes through to us through these very regulated, succinct, scientific kriyas that we practice, paying attention to the amount of time, to the positions of the body, to the time of day, to a bunch of different factors. So I'll go back and say this art and science looks to the physical body, to tune up the physical body, give it strength, radiant well-being, vitality, to work with the mental body from overriding the physical body or taking control of the whole show. So a balance between physical and mental. And then two, a consideration of the electromagnetic field around us that's also called the aura. And basically this practice of Kundalini Yoga with the meditations, the kriyas, the mantras, the asana, the breath work, the pranayama, all of these components give us the ability to tune up our instrument. So when I'm talking about our instrument, I'm talking about the internal and external environment of the physical body, the emotional body, the ethereal body, all of the, the package of our being, our physical bodies, and then the energetics around them. In working with that system, we're also looking to clear, open, and balance our chakras, which we're going to be talking a lot about. So as we tune our instrument, as we prepare the physical body, what are we tuning it to? What are we getting it ready for? The potential for the dormant Kundalini energy to rise. So when you have integrity in your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, should grace happen and Kundalini moves through any one of us, hopefully we will be ready to handle the charge of energy that comes with it, that's different for everybody, that can't be named, that cannot be explained. Thomas and I are not trying to sell you anything. It might happen, it might not happen, but that's going to be determined by grace and your participation. Nothing that we govern or anything like that. We're along for the whole experience as well. So that's a little bit about what Kundalini.
It's maintenance, and I like what you didn't share it, but you always mention it. A teacher, I don't know if we should say his name, but he always he says, you all know how to change your oil of your car, but
Yes, I meant to say that. You read my mind.
to say it how you normally say it because you say it good.
Okay, so this is Thomas too. We have the old school text. These are from. I'll look at the copyright so you can have a nice laugh. Here's one, and then here's another one. Hold on, I'm actually going to look at the copyrights before I go on. 1988 for this one. Okay, transitions to a heart-centered world, and then the owner's manual for the body.
That one's
Okay,
the best.
so, and I've got mimeograph sheets, not just photocopied, but mimeograph sheets of these kriyas. Because once I started, I was like, it's not enough just to go to a class a week. I'm taking this stuff home. I'm going to get myself an egg timer. I'm going to do the thing. This is before cell phones. This was before, we had these things. You had to have something else to keep a time, and, we weren't wearing watches. Anyway, Yogi Bhajan, who we will discuss and take into consideration, because for me, if there was no Yogi Bhajan, I wouldn't have Kundalini Yoga, and I've been able to approach it with a lot of integrity, as Thomas has, and so there is gratitude. And this also, once again, we are expanding our consciousness, we are expanding our compassion. So just to understand the realm of acknowledging Yogi Bhajan. Yogi Bhajan always said, you Westerners, you know more about your car than you do your physical body. So that's how this title, Owner's Manual for the Human Body, came to be, because it's true. We talk about the sits bones, and if you don't have a reference to say, the bones that would be over top of a bicycle seat if you were going out for a ride this afternoon, one might not know that, but I know where my brake is, I know where my ignition is, I know where my windshield wipers are, I know, I'm not going to lose the keys, because if I don't have the keys, I can't open the trunk, I can't, whatever it is. So just that analogy has always really, really hit into. And start where you are, believe me. It will expand your awareness of yourself through your physical body and the chakras. Those things, if you don't relate to them just yet, you may. Emotional body, electromagnetic field, all of that actual felt sense, somatic experience will inform you. So this is also an art and science of intelligence, compassion, expansion, and consciousness.
Yes, I think it's so important what you're saying. It is an intelligence. It's an innate, inherent gift. Not only gift, but I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not an inherent gift, an inherent state of being, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we practice other forms of yoga. You see yogas at yoga studios, you see hot yoga, you see vinyasa, hatha, raja, and we're going to get into that. But this particular practice encompasses it all. There's the art of devotion. There's a deeper awareness of the physical body and the mind. And like Catherine was mentioning earlier, the mind really runs the show, and you become a slave to the programs and the ideas that your mind is creating. In Kundalini Yoga, you kind of take back the reins, and you're able to get on a new wave, change this television station of your mind through the mantras, and that's how it starts to affect. So it's not only working the physical body. You're not only detoxing certain parts of the organs, the endocrine system, but you're also detoxing the psyche, and you're putting new programs in. And that's where people say that they're starting to see color different, or they have new thought patterns, or they're able to move through trauma and things like this. And again, we're not here to guarantee any of that. But if you're an anxious person, if you're a depressed person, if you're constantly worried about the past or the future, this practice brings you back to the present and gives you the projection, the caliber, the ability to withstand the pressure of time, or the pressure of what no longer exists in the past. And it gives you a better sense of maintaining your essence, because it clears the mind. It brings you back to you in your original state. And then, of course, you don't want to stop. You don't want to stop practicing. So let me just see here. Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to. We have notes just to make sure that we're on uh, topic. But one thing that I found that was taught to me in my teacher training was that Kundalini is like a diamond. So you can turn it any one way and find a facet or information of what Kundalini is. But if you try to understand a diamond from only one facet, you're finding yourself with a less complete understanding. You're trying to conceptualize something that's beyond measure. But Kundalini is getting up in the morning. It's the car turning on when you start it. It's putting the left foot in front of the right. It's the breath in and the breath out. It's the flower blossoming. So it's a miracle, but it's that which creates life. It's a feminine essence. It's a very feminine energy, and that's why they call it uh, the Shakti, or they call it. I'm thinking of Adi Shakti, the first primal power or source. It's very feminine, and it's funny. Are we good to transition into the more Raj yoga talk of how it sort of? Are we good on that? You think?
I think that feels like the way to go.
So before Kundalini Yoga was a secret practice. It was only taught and practiced by royal yogis or princes or gurus from I don't even know how you would describe them, high lineages or something. I don't. I mean, it was a secret, hush hush, man only patriarchal situation. YB, Yogi Bhajan, brought the practice to the West in the 60s during the huge, lots of drug epidemics and things like this. But he was like, women need this, and it will create happier, healthier, holier families and people, right? So it was also helping people get off of drugs and things like this during that time period. But it originated. A lot of people want to know where this practice came from, because we understand that this Kundalini energy, you guys, is not just something that you experience in this form of yoga that we're sharing. This is an everyday occurrence. People have Kundalini awakenings without not even knowing what the hell Kundalini yoga is. It just happens. Reading a book, walking down the street, having a thought-provoking conversation. It can look scary. It doesn't have to look like, oh my God, I'm awakened. No, it can look manic. It could look like your job being taken from you, or your house, or your spouse, or whatever. But because it's a quick energy. It's said that which takes 20 years can be done in 1 year with Kundalini. So whether it's therapy, whether it's another form of yoga practice, whether it's diet, things like this, which we will get into, because Kundalini Yoga does have a preferred supportive diet and lifestyle, which is one of the weeks. But this is not just something that you're experiencing here in this yoga practice, but the concept of this Kundalini energy, this dormant infinite creative potential, right? So you take that sentence and you can see where it applies in your life, right? When you're going through hardship, hard time, mindset block, depression, problem solving, relationships, infinite creative potential, dormant, right? But that which is awakened, like Catherine said, maybe through practice, maybe through the deeper level of awareness. But we're strengthening our nervous system, and that's the main idea here in the modern form in which we're practicing this yoga. And when that nervous system and glandular system combine, that's what starts to generate heat in the body and raise this energy. And scientifically, a lot of which we experience through that central channel is likened to cerebral spinal fluid. A lot of this is secretions of different glands. Your endocrine system's detoxing all of the chemicals, all of the harsh things that we're dealing with. That's why it's here in today's day and age. We need it. It's a householder's yoga, and it's not only downward dog, this, that, vinyasa flow. It's meditations, it's chanting, it's this, that, and the other. It's very important for the modern day yogi or not householder person to have access to these teachings, and that's why I think we're so grateful for it. But so now I'm going on a tangent. But this originated in what we would call there's a lineage behind Kundalini Yoga, and you'll always hear Catherine and I thanking our teachers and our teachers' teachers. You'll always hear us paying homage to those before us who have brought this practice to us. So, Raj Yoga or Raja Yoga was a royal yoga that was shared from uh, kings, I guess, right, Catherine? It was only men, but it was kings, I guess, is really what was practiced, who it was practiced by. And then later to uh, different gurus, including Guru Ram Das. So he was a Sikh guru, and he is kind of how we got to where we're going to. We're not getting too deep into the history, but what I'm getting at is that this is how it started, and now us as modern day yogis have access to these secret technologies and practice that we're able to utilize for our utmost well-being and vitality and radiance. So really all yoga is Raja Yoga, I guess, at this point in life, right, Catherine?
We hope so. Really, let it suffice to say, if we're going to say Raja Yoga or Raj Yoga, which means the royal path, it's laid out that way because Raja Yoga does not lose the essence at all of what the practice is. So it's not just one thing that's marketed, that's gone to. This is a way of life that comes through many aspects. So Ayurveda, astrology, lifestyle, what we surround ourselves with, the breath work we do, the meditations we hold, the postures that we utilize, our cleansing practices, the acknowledgement of the sound current through this vehicle to deepen the aspects of the practice, silence, so many things. So if we're going to say every yoga is Raja Yoga, we hope it is, but we also know that in some aspects, for whatever reason, the true essence of yoga is being left out of a lot of practices and a lot of circles. We don't need a grandstand. We don't need to point it out. All we're going to do is tell you that from our experience and from our hearts, we're going to include everything and share it as it's been shared with us so that you too can have the experience of all of the fibers being woven together into this amazing tapestry that really does make this a lifestyle and not something that you have to put on white clothing or mala beads for or sit on a special kind of rug or anything like that. There is this framework, the kriyas, the suggested ways to practice. Of course, we have to build something. We have to create a structure within the integrity of what's on offer. And then after, the years, you never stop learning, but you move into it in a different way because you realize that you're always in it. And if you think about it, like even just as far as asana, just as far as posturing, we posture all day. We put on masks all day. We act this way. We do, it's this thing that we're doing. So we're now picking up one piece, which pulls every piece of the strand of pearls up in this practice of Kundalini Yoga to, in essence, take away from just letting the energy go wherever it is to directing it into a focused space of intelligence, possibility, consciousness, expansion, and now I'm going to go off on a tangent. So
That's the thing. We could talk about it for hours and hours and hours, and that's why this is beginner's course, and there'll be plenty of more opportunities for us to keep going. But yes, I love it. I love it. So, with that being said, speaking of respecting the practice and paying homage to our teachers, every practice in Kundalini Yoga from our lineage that we're practicing, we tune in with the Adi mantra, which Adi means first or primal. So it makes sense. This is how we would tune in. So the mantra, and you'll see this in your resource guide in the course. It'll be like typed out for you, or there'll be a video. Is Ong Namo Gurudev Namo, and it's chanted 3 times every single practice before we begin. So when we sign on to the video, Catherine and I will automatically, like we did today, just tune in just for ourselves, for you guys, for all of us to be on one collective television station of our mind, essentially. That's what we'll be dialing into. And Ong is that creative energy of the universe. It's the infinite sound. It's creation in action. And Yogi Bhajan actually described, he said he would like walk around different temples and he would hear them oming, like OM or AUM, and he would laugh because he's like, the real sound is Ong. But I mean, it's a Bij mantra. It's a seed sound. So I mean, it's very similar, and I don't think that's even yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I have to raise my hand for this. So if you want to play around with it, any Bij mantra, any word, anything that we're asking you to chant, if you can, in addition to, am I doing this right? Does this sound right? Because that's going to play through the head, right? Also, can you get into the body and feel where the resonance happens? So the Ong is going to come up, it's going to move around, and hopefully it's going to get right back into the sphenoid. The sphenoid is a super cool bone that's right in the center of the front of your skull that looks like a butterfly, all the other cranial bones attached to it, and you want to have some resonance because in addition to, we already talked about the thyroid and the thymus, pituitary and pineal going into, the center of the head, going back from the space in between the eyebrows and then down from the crown into that space. You want to see if you can buzz that whole thing. So if you can hear, like, I love it, ong or om or whatever it is, but see if you can pick up on this. Ong. So it's the slightest use of Jalandhara Bandha. You're going to feel like the glottis constrict a little bit, and then the resonance come up into the skull. And that's what you want. So that was just a side note, but I feel like it's important to speak to that out of the gate. And yeah, what we do when we're learning mantras, a lot of times is we just try to copy what we're hearing. So try to copy what you're hearing, but then feel how it's affecting your container.
Yeah, that what Catherine's saying is very crucial and important. That's what the benefit of practicing with us is. I'll give us pats on the back, is because we're trying to break everything down so you're not just chanting a sound because it's part of the lineage. It's like, yes, that's what you're doing. However, there's things happening and things vibrating, sending signals, hitting meridian points. Catherine, 82 mouth meridians? 84.
Yeah, there's
We're gonna get
7,000 nadis,
70,000 energy centers
in the body, and then however many in the mouth.
So what I'm getting at, guys, is that, yes, Marvel points. There's meridian points in your body. If you go to Chinese medicine, which is now accepting insurance, so you'll know that it's legit, right? There's energy points. There's
meridians in traditional Chinese medicine and nadis in Ayurveda. Yeah.
So when you're chanting, you're creating sound. People are spending money to go to sound healings. You are creating your own resonance. So like Catherine said, if you don't know what we're saying or the spelling or this or that, just try to mimic what you're hearing. Then go back, look at the notes that we have for you in the course section and see that maybe the spelling or the transliteration, but you're going to find variations of that as well. And eventually start to feel. That's what you're not just chanting because it's like a prayer that you say in the beginning of class. We're tuning the body in to remember this lineage that's innate already inside of you. Again, it's infinite dormant creative potential that's already there. And this sound currency or frequency is bringing you back to that essence or that infinite creative potential. So we always tune in because it just brings us back to that guru within. So it's Ong Namo. Namo is to bow, but it's also a variation of Nam. And this is your name or your identity. So Namo is to bow. Nam is name or identity. It's your name before your past or your story. So whatever you were told you were, or who you were growing up, and all of the labels you put on yourself and the cycles you ran, Namo is you before all of that. Then you have Guru. So Ong Namo Guru. Guru is the teacher, but it's that from which brings darkness, Gu, to light, which is Ru. And then you have Dave. So Ong Namo Guru Dave. Dave is the divine, the infinite wisdom that you have. Is you could just say divine. And you say Namo again. So it's Ong Namo Guru Dave Namo. And you're essentially how I translate this, and Catherine, you might have another sentence you use, and sometimes it changes for me, is you're bowing to that divine teacher within. You're bowing to the divine creative consciousness. And when you chant this mantra before every practice or meditation or before your sadhana, you are telling the body, you're tuning into what we call the golden chain. We don't need to get too deep into it, but it connects you to a link of the lineage of the teachers' teachers, all the way back to the Nod. Nod is the original universal sound current. And we are sound yogis in Kundalini. We are making sounds. We're listening to a gong bath. It's traditional to have a gong bath. You'll see Catherine has hers. Mine's in my dining room right now. But you are tuning into the original essence, the Adi, the first primal essence. And that's what you're doing. You're preparing the body, the glandular system, the nervous system, like, hey, we're tuning into this space now. Catherine, do you have anything else to add to Nod or Adi Mantra or that before we do it and then we begin the physical practice?
No, I think that's a really good base. We're going to continue to add to the base. Don't forget that you have the opportunity to ask questions within the chat, within our outside chats, through the Sangha, and I think that's a good start and way to feel into all of this.
Perfect. If you would like to learn more and join the full course, please join us at Thrive by Catherine and Thomas. We hope to see you there. Link is down below.